is in.
Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator, and I'm joined by my co-host here, Ayden, who, doesn't know when to be quiet at the right times. I thought we discussed this yesterday, but why don't you introduce yourself to the class, and we'll go from there, Ayden.
Well, sure. Hey, everyone. This is Hovind broadcasting live from Dinosaur Adventure Scam out here in Mentats, Alabama. We had a good time today. Drove down with Chris Baker and some of his lady friends over to Pensacola on the road we built outside the legal zoning regulations to go and visit the community that hates my guts for old time's sake. Anyway, we're good old-fashioned misinformation generating, spuriating, propagating, far up my own ass, chicken-eating Baptist church. We believe I can become God in just 6 days. We're trying to make a honest living off your money, but God haters like you don't make all that easy. Now, do you, Gay Jay?
Oh, no, and I'm going to, it's going to be increasingly difficult for me to have money, considering that Ayden here is obviously coming after my job because he's clearly much better at just everything. So okay, we're going to be watching, and you excuse my voice. It's just this time of year. It's very difficult with the cold weather. So we're going to be watching a Whack an Atheist video. And it's basically Professor Dave video, and the script of the video was written by Gutsick Gibbon, and this is something that really sort of irritated me about the video. Real quickly, I will say the title of this video is basically, I try to be sort of accurate without running out of the character limit, but it's Kent has brought on his expert about human evolution, which is sea science. So Kent's got his guy, and then Professor Dave has Gutsick Gibbon, and she wrote the script to Dave's video. So everything you hear Dave saying is going to be written by her. And it bothers me how he doesn't really explain to his audience who Gutsick Gibbon is, or Erica. I know you guys probably watching this video know who she is, but Kent really doesn't explain who she is or the significance of the fact that she's the one who wrote the script. But she is, a YouTuber, and she makes videos. I'm just reading this from a fan page, the way Kent sort of looked up me before our first debate. She makes videos about primates, zoology, paleontology, anthropology, and evolutionary biology, and she debunks young Earth creationism. I think part of that probably comes because she isn't one of those people who had a material curriculum of stuff from the ICR at the school they went to, and that sort of bitterness carries forward into your adult years, where you want to go back and really debunk the stuff that you had to be sort of quote unquote taught when you were younger and didn't really have a choice. And I can understand why that would bother some people. So I'm really, I think that's, I admire her righteous anger there. And it says Erica has a master's of research in primate biology, behavior, and conservation. She's pursuing a PhD in biological anthropology. She has a BSA in pre-professional animal science and minors in anthropology and in biology. Okay, yeah, it is here. It says Erica was formerly a creationist. In June 2020, she became engaged to her boyfriend, and they've actually gotten married since then. And that doesn't say that on here. And so she attended a private Christian middle school. And so I went to a atheist sort of con. I forget. It was a few years ago. It was called Faithless Forum. And I got to meet Arn Ra, Jackson Wheat, a bunch of people that I watch on YouTube, like Oz, and too many people to name. But Erica was also there. And, so getting to meet her and talk to her was incredible. And I got to do an interview with her, and she is clearly one of the most intelligent and interesting to talk to people I've seen or met in my life. And the interesting things, oh, Seth Andrews was also there, and he gave a speech. It was really great. Basically, she was like the most talked about person at that event. Everybody wanted to meet Erica. Basically, she was like the person that everybody was interested in. And like Seth Andrews, was asked talking to me about her. And I just think that the fact that she's able to have this accomplishment in her education, as well as doing YouTube, where her channel has freaking blown up and she's like almost like 50,000 subs. I just think it can't just kind of like does this offhandedly mentions her. And he also says that like, oh, she never challenged me to a debate. When they have debated, and it's like, okay, I just wanted to say that. So moving on. Sorry.
Well, she won't debate me again. That's what I'm trying to get at, Atheist Junior. All right, unless she debates me 37 times in a row, and the one time I actually get one good point on her, then we're not going to be able to settle this conversation. I'm sorry. It's going to be one or the other. Either we're going to debate 83,000 times until the monkey typing the typewriter finally makes a line out of Shakespeare, or she's just going to admit that she's a coward. It's one or the other.
Okay. Well, I believe we may add Kent's video here, and I think I'm not sure, but it might be for comedic effect. I may be playing some sound effects when Ken makes a joke. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, I have downloaded the Hovind video, and let me just add this in.
Well, I just quite frankly think that kind of childish behavior that you're talking about, playing sound effects, Atheist Junior, really? Anyways, let me whack this SpongeBob doll a few times and say how much of a moron you are.
Oh, you can whack it. SpongeBob. Don't hurt SpongeBob. Okay. I always forget the title of these videos. That they all kind of run together because it's always, well, whack an atheist. I'm going to whack this person and this person. I think he's whacked.
I think that last part that you mentioned there comes after the stream. I think that comes after the stream. I couldn't do it through the entire stream, you guys. I'm sorry. I was part of me in the back of my mind was thinking, do I do
land in Lenox, Alabama?
You were interrupted.
Excuse me, I'm trying to talk right now, Ken Hovind. I'm trying to have a word, if you just don't mind. I'm trying to speak the truth over here.
Yeah. So the video was just titled "Whack an Atheist." So. Thanks, Ken. That just made it really easy to find the video there. So thank you for the dead air on my stream, Kent. You fucking asshole. All right, let's go.
Had a good time today. Drove with Joseph down to Pensacola. What's the name of the program we were on?
Biohacking Secrets.
Biohacking Secrets, and that's going to be aired. Is it already been aired? It's going to be aired soon. They got what 2.2 million followers. Yeah. So get me on any programs you can. I would like to teach about creation tonight. Whack an Atheist with Professor Dave. We are on Rumble, Kent Hovind Official, on Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, on Odyssey, Kent Hovind Official, and drdino.com has all the other places where we are. We are right there at Genesis Baptist Church in Lenox, Alabama. Old-fashioned, independent, temperamental, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist church. We believe God made the world in 6 days. So let me get up here. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. There we are, Lenox, Alabama, straight north of Pensacola. You folks from Minnesota, it's a little chilly here today. What's 50, 45? How was it up there in Minnesota?
Okay, so this is just something that I've kind of wondered for a long time. It's like, why does Kent feel the need to mention the fact that Lenox is 60 miles north of Pensacola every single time he talks about it? And he has this map here that shows Pensacola. And I have a theory on this. I think I could be wrong, but I feel like this is like a coping mechanism for the fact that Kent was forced to move his dinosaur Adventureland from Pensacola. And for whatever reason, like this is his sort of like way of acting like, oh, well, it's almost like I kind of live there. It's only 60 miles away. Just look, it's not even that long. Look at this graph. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense, Ayden? Like, why mention Pensacola if you don't live there?
Well, I'll give you an actual explanation for that if you're interested, Atheist Junior. So have you ever seen a map? You ever seen a map of the Jewish exile to Babylon? Have you ever seen a map of that? So Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to the kingdom of Judea, and they basically said, look, all right, you're violating zoning laws by building roads outside of the proper zoning. And on top of all of that, you got to be fined $5,000 every single day that you're going to remain in this city. So we had no choice but to be exiled from Jerusalem to Babylon. And we're just here in Lenox weeping at the river right now. We're waiting to go back to the promised land. But this is why I mention it, because these two things are basically the exact same.
Wow, that's pretty sad. Wait, that's not a sad note.
It's not sad. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I don't see the Jews weeping by the rivers of Babylon when you go beep. You know, I'm sorry, that's not what it invokes.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. There's gonna be a Kent impression the entire stream, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Mr. SpongeBob Pants. We're getting whacked, okay? Just don't let the one go the other way out. I'll take the bear.
It was pretty good before we left, but it's going down now. It'll be single digits soon.
Single digits soon.
Good
Okay,
audio.
you brought the whole family. How many kids?
There's 13, but 10 are with us.
13, but 10 are with them. Why would you have that many kids? I don't understand. I just can't even imagine that.
Well, if they don't have that many kids, then they can't sit in the back and actually, like, you know, be children and play around and have a good time. And then I can't yell at them to come up to the front and pay attention to what I'm saying. I mean, what do you expect?
When, especially when they're like young girls, and the stream is about, you know, animal sex and animals coming, Ken just demands the young girls come up and sit front and center while he makes weird, inappropriate jokes about animal cum. I mean, that's what Christians do. That's what you do during a Christian seminar.
Well, they're trying to form memories in their childhood without me involved in it. And let me tell you, that's a no-go if you're going to be staying here in Dinosaur Adventureland. You know, we say that we don't have child labor, but the real child labor is having to sit here and listen to my ponderous seminars over and over again.
10 kids with you. Amen. We'll take the tour tomorrow. Okay. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. It's free. We think God ought to get the glory for his creation. Let's see. So tonight, we did a skeptic guy debate last night. Tonight, Professor Dave. If you want to help our ministry stay open for free, join our 777 Club. Mr. Nelson, who calls himself Aaron Ra, the sun god, he's an atheist, he says, and he wants to have 666 people support him for $1 a day. I guess that's a great idea. Only we got 30 people on staff here. I'd like 777 people to support us for $1 a day so we can pay all the bills. We're open for free, always have been. If you want to join our 777 Club, go to Dr. Dino.
Hilarious. Okay, from Truck Driving Billy for $5. It says, I think Kent's jabbing at his kids, talking about how close he is, so they might bring the grandkids when he talks about Pensacola. Yes, this is the other thing that I was thinking that I didn't mention there, is that he knows that Eric Hovind lives there, Pensacola still. But this is Kent assuming that Eric Hovind would want to watch his dad's videos, which I just can't imagine he would. But yeah,
bring the underwear back, Eric. Bring the underwear back.
Yes, I need my Swiss Army knife because I need to cut out Atheist Junior's his tailbone. I wouldn't want him to, be able to ejaculate.
I'll pay for it, Atheist Junior. If you come down here and I get some sort of shady Latin American doctor to come out here and load you up with a whole bunch of low grade morphine and just cut out your tailbone, I don't know why you won't do that.
Well, I mean, his seminar, it both says that he'll pay the person to have it removed, but also that he's going to do it. It's a little bit confusing. I mean, if we can get some low grade nitrous in there, then maybe. But yeah, I don't know about that. It sounds painful. So we're just gonna keep moving, and maybe let's just get ahead here to the actual video. So that'd be good. All right.
Winner tonight, Professor Dave. He says, and on this channel show we're going to be watching. By the way, Gutsick Gibbon has never offered to debate me, has she? What happened? I'm willing. Come on, Gutsick. Homo sapiens go by the name of Homo sapiens.
Yeah, so Kent has done a debate with Gutsick a while ago. It was with Modern Day Debate, and he was just lost horribly because obviously Erica knows what she's talking about, and just kept asking Kent the same question over and over because he just would not answer it, and that effectively became kind of the entire debate. And while I love seeing people in debates asking Kent if he dodges the question, I say ask it again. I almost wonder at a certain point if you're actually wasting your time there, because I was torn on that debate one, because I admire her dedication to trying to get him to stick to that question, but at the same time, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, does that, sort of ruin the debate? I don't know. I think Kent, if anybody ruined the debate, it's Kent. But yeah, if you guys want to go check out that debate, I would recommend it. I'll try and throw the link in the description of this video. So,
how did our species come to be? How and when was human civilization developed? The fields that seek to answer these huge questions are anthropology and archaeology. We will study the evolution of hominid species, as well as the remains we use to understand early human civilization. Okay, Dave teaches on chemistry, and he's really good. He teaches on organic chemistry, and he's really good. He teaches on biochemistry. He's good at a lot of teaching stuff. He's good at physics.
if he's so good at all these things, why do you think that he reached out to Gutsick Gibbon then to write this script? If he does biology tutorials, do you think that says something about her level of expertise, that Professor Dave, that teaches all these different subjects, said, I feel more comfortable allowing her to write the script verbatim, where she writes the entire thing. I mean, I'm assuming there's some level of collaboration on it, but it's really her is basically the one making sure everything is accurate. So just an interesting question I'd have for Kent, maybe, if he happens to watch this video. I can't.
I mean, my question that I'd have for him is that if you think that he's so competent in all of these other fields, if you think that he has spent the time in his life to be able to get such a high level of understanding and comprehensive knowledge about general chemistry and organic chemistry and biochemistry and all of these different facets that make our world what it is, then just ask yourself for a moment, Kent, why would he go out of his way to just throw all of that away for something else and just completely go down this red herring, as you would call it, evolution? It's just, it's not consistent for somebody that, as you just claimed, is extremely advanced in all of these other fields.
Right. Well said.
Physical science. I highly recommend his stuff. Against the flat earth, he's really good. But he's loony when it comes to evolution. He believes he came from a rock. So let's go over to Professor Dave.
As opposed to me, I think I came from dust.
Chime in any, and I will come over here, hit play, and let's let Professor Dave talk about this is the intro to a series he's going to do on evolution, which is going to be from the, if he follows what he says he's going to follow in the series, is going to be baloney. Dave, I'll debate you anytime. Bring it on, okay? There you go.
We humans are a fascinating species of animal, though rather narcissistic.
Oh, stop
For this reason, the study of humans across...
Hang on, let's stop right there. We're not an animal, okay? We're made in God's image.
Can you pause?
You might think you're an animal. There's something different between humans and animals. Is it okay?
Could you pause the stream? So, Professor Dave, literally the opening statement that he makes in that video, humans are animals and we are incredibly, I believe it was self-centered or some term analogous to being self-centered. And Kent proves his point by just right off the bat going, no, we're not animals, we're special. We're totally different. I mean, like, yeah, we've got the same components of basically other animals, and we can be categorized within the same groups as other animals, and we share extreme genetic similarities with other animals. But I mean, come on, guys, we're special. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay for a human to go next door and kill the neighbor's baby and eat it? Well, no. Is it okay for a lion to go next door and kill the zebra baby and eat it? We're different than the animals, Dave. Don't call us an animal. We're made in God's image. Anyway, go ahead.
Space and time has its own field, anthropology. The etymology of the word is Greek, with anthropos meaning human and logos being the study of. This discipline provides a broad perspective that helps us understand the diversity of the human experience within the context of biological and behavioral continuity with other animal species.
He's obviously reading something written by somebody else here.
He's using big words. He couldn't do that himself. He's not a specialist in all sorts of other fields, like I just said earlier. No, he's just getting that from somebody else. Like, give me a break, Ken.
Right. Just this is just so it's such an annoying criticism from Kent. It's like Dave made no like he did try to hide the fact that Erica is the one who wrote this script. It's there right at the beginning of the video, and it's like Kent objecting to the idea of having like a scripted content that you read from, because Kent basically just cribbed all of his ideas from other creationists like Walt Brown and Henry Morris and people from the Institute for Creation Research, as he wrote in his dissertation that there's nothing new under the sun. So basically just cobbled together ideas from other people and put them into a script that he reads like religiously, like will not ever deviate from the script, and really proves me right on something that I said in I believe the last open mic debate I did against Kent, where we were talking about him never updating his slides, but I'll bring that up when we get to it. Yeah. So also, just real quick, the definition of animal is a living organism that feeds on organic matter, typically having some specialized sense organs and nervous system, and able to respond rapidly to stimuli. So I was just asked Kent, like, does that describe you? Is it categorized?
Well, that might be the term that you lion tests used, but that's not the term that I would go and use as somebody that's actually trying to see the truth.
Okay, well, well, if I can just quote R&Y, if it describes you, then it defines you. And also for Kent's stupid example about lions going next door, as if lions live in neighborhoods that have houses or
Yeah.
doors.
I totally missed that. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
You can't apply human systems of morality to animals, because the reason oftentimes that we see animals in the wild environments, killing each other in such a gruesome fashion, is because they are doing whatever they have to survive, which can often be very desperate. So if it's a kill or be killed environment, even in a even Ket would say, if you're in a kill or be killed situation and you kill the other person, you really shouldn't say that that's wrong. You wouldn't say that's wrong, would you? So maybe it's not wrong that the lion killed the little zebra, is it?
Well,
think about that. Think on these things.
Not only that, but I think the fact that he's using the lion as an example is really telling, because when we look at animalistic behavior in nature, we typically find that morality, as he terms it, is a product of sociability. And lions are not nearly as social creatures as human beings or chimps or ants or bees or any number of different creatures that inhabit this earth. And we do observe within those other species, maybe not a morality, so to speak, as complex as what we see, but you'll still see that if you're in a troop of chimps and you just club one of those chimps to death with a rock or something like that, you're not just going to get away with that. All the other chimps are going to reprise you for that, because they view that as a wrong thing to do within their own primitive form of that morality. I say primitive because it's not as nuanced as us, but they don't really have the capacity to be as nuanced as us. So, like I said, the fact that he uses a fairly eusocial creature as an example is very, very telling.
Well, I may be actually surprised at the level of nuance, because Kent is going to get into, he's going to talk about chimps stealing from each other later, and I can't wait to get to that part because it's quite interesting. But let's carry on.
This is certainly a tall order, as it means we must understand our own evolution and biology.
And Dave, if you start with those rose-colored glasses on, you're never going to understand humanity. You've already decided we came from an ape. You've already decided that. There's your problem. Everything from here on is going to be wrong.
Yeah, we came from a magic man. We didn't come from an ape. We came from Magic Man. That's the difference.
A genie, picked up some dust and it made us into clay via a golem spell. That's everything after that is much more likely to be true than the idea that we may have, had common ancestry with animals that look similar with us and share lots of similarities as well as differences. and has, they have like this almost the exact same number of chromosomes, and chimpanzees look identical to humans. Just ignore that. All of that's wrong. Magic dirt is going to be a much better. I see. It's better to have dirty clay colored glasses, better than rose colored glasses. Because I
That's
can
right.
see when I drive at night with my dirty clay covered glasses, I see much better than I do with those rose colored glasses. I've only gotten in 18 car accidents, but hey, I always go at least the speed limit. I always go at least the speed limit.
Oh dear. All right.
The wide variety of material and
Go ahead.
Okay,
No, go ahead.
behavioral cultures we exhibit, and how each of these necessarily interact with one another. Anthropology as a discipline tackles this gargantuan task by partitioning the labor into 4 subfields. Biological anthropology, which was formerly known as physical anthropology, is the first subfield we will cover, and it concerns the study of human biology within an evolutionary framework. So,
Do you have to study biology in an evolutionary framework? I taught biology for 15 years. Dave, I think you could study biology from a creation perspective.
No, not really. And it's not that but really you do have to study evolution, or you have to study biology from an evolutionary framework. It's the only option, and it's not the only option, for reasons of conspiracy theories. It's the only option because it's the only one that is able to offer predictions that are then confirmed. And that's kind of what we want in science. So if we have, let's say, if we have 2 potential things that we're considering, what's the better method to study biology? And is an evolutionary framework or a creationist framework? I would look to see which side has had more contestable, confirmed predictions. Which one has had more predictions that came true? And I have to say it would be evolution, because there are exactly 0 on the creation side. So I'd have to,
Well, not only that, but the fact that this criticism basically just boils down to, like, if this was being used as a criticism for any other field of study, then people would inherently recognize it as a faulty thing of reasoning. Like, oh, so you're just going to teach that the engine was created by somebody? Like, you're going to say that engine was assembled over a period of time by a bunch of different factors that all contributed to each other that ended up leading to that engine? No, I think the engine just got snapped into existence one day. I taught that the engine was snapped into existence. You can teach it that way, so why don't you? Probably because we have more evidence that the engine was created through a process rather than just snapped into existence, Ken. I don't know.
Yeah. So just on the topic of Lucy, talking about testable predictions, or just if evolution were true, wouldn't we expect to find a animal or a primate that is in between a fully arboreal tree-dwelling monkey that spends all of its time in the trees, or an extremely small amount of time walking on the ground, because it doesn't have the flat feet or the right foot structure to walk comfortably for long distances on the feet? And you'd have on the other end, you'd have either just outright humans walking upright, or a primate that is able to walk upright. If evolution were true, we'd expect to see some sort of transitional form between these 2 extremes, and we do, which is Lucy, which is Australopithecine. So that's a prediction that was confirmed. Another one would be Darwin. And go ahead, and I'll give my example.
No. You were in the middle of talking. You go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, you have a pretty classic one with Darwin, where he says that, if my theory is true, then we should find a dinosaur with a fused wing fingers, and then 2 years later they find the first fossil of Archaeopteryx. So right there, his prediction was confirmed. And there are a bunch of other ones like that, that could go through. And I would just love to hear the ones from creationism, especially Kent's, because Kent can't even make a prediction. You ask Kent to make a prediction, and he'll talk about something that already happened, and that's a prediction, and that's not how that works. So,
well, And Sea Science tries making the point in this video, at least at the part that I had watched, that he thinks that these findings, like Lucy, are human skeletons and human remains, but he tries giving the excuse of saying, well, you know, there's some people that are small, there's some people that have dwarfism, there's some people that have gigantism, there's some people that are bulky and some people that aren't. Right. But at the same time, when you actually look at parts of the Lucy fossil, all right, like the sacrum being a really good part of that, you find that it's a female sacrum. It's uniquely female in shape, and the sacrum is part of the sexually dimorphic nature of how biology is determined between the sexes. So you are one of those people that will try to advocate on one hand that this is a human, but on the other will say, oh, they're just really bulky. It's just a really bulky person. Well, why are they so bulky? If they're a female, they could easily bench press you with the kind of arms that we found on Lucy, the kind of chest. This is a creature that would have been able to bench press you without any hesitation whatsoever, Sea Science. But they're just a female human, right?
Right. Yeah. And I also just wanted to say, when we talk about Lucy being a transitional between humans and, our tree-dwelling apes, it's like, it's not just, it's her individual structures that are all seem to be transitional. You have her feet, her toes, her hips, her skull, the brain case, this, I believe the sacrum, like you said, like the way her legs are angled. Just you could go down the list. So still waiting for the creationist predictions. By the way.
See, you could study the same anatomy and biology. Look, boys and girls, you got a deltoid muscle here that raises the arm this way, and a biceps, and a triceps, and flexors, and extenders, and a radius, and an ulna, and a humerus, and carpal bones, and metacarpals. And you can look and learn all about anatomy and biology and never talk about evolution. It has nothing to do with the topic of biology. Study human biology within the evolution.
You know what does have to do with it, though? You know what does have to do with the topic about evolution? Stars. Stars being formed and them fusion stuff in the middle of their cores out in Alpha Centauri. That has to do with evolution. But you know what doesn't have to do with evolution? Biology.
Like, what? What are you talking about? I love this so much. They try to discount the parts of biology that actual biologists adhere to while adding a whole bunch of stuff that no actual accredited biologist would actually adhere to as far as being a part of the theory of evolution. It's just absolute lunacy.
Right. Well, we can't love talking about cars, right, in relation to evolution. Well, we can talk about a Lamborghini Gallardo or Murcielago or a BMWs or modern turbo injected cars with all these different things without bringing up Model Ts or without bringing up engines that you had to crank or that would kill people. Well, that's actually that's the reason that Henry Ford invented the engine that you didn't have to crank, because there was an accident where somebody was cranking their car and because there was a woman driving and she couldn't turn the crank herself, and another motorist pulled over, and that man, he was cranking the engine, and the crank slipped out of his hand, and he hit his head and he died. And Henry Ford, I believe, heard about this story, and it compelled him to invent the first engine that didn't need a crank, but that's not like an evolution of cars or anything. You could talk about all the parts of a modern engine without ever having to talk about anything related to earlier versions of that engine or things that were built on, or like how we came to modern catalytic converters, or we could talk about modern electric cars without ever having to talk about gasoline engines. You don't need to talk about it. It has nothing to do with there's no evolution there. There's not a lineage. It's like we could talk about the PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch, and you don't ever have to talk about Atari or ColecoVision or anything like that. None of that is relevant. All right, there's no lineage there. Just shut up about it.
What it really gets to at the bedrock, in my opinion, like when you actually dig through all all the rhetoric through it. What it really says to me is, why aren't you adhering to my standards of how this is supposed to be discussed? Because if you adhere to how I want this to be discussed, then I'm the one that can put up whatever goalposts that I want in terms of what evidence can or cannot be presented, what can or cannot be included in which theory. And that's why I think Kent is so obsessed with trying to mislabel what is or isn't evolution, or what is and isn't biology. And here in just a moment, what sees science labels is or isn't anthropology. So well, I guess we'll see that in just a moment. I'm a prophet.
Framework, there's your problem. You got to stay in that stupid evolution box in your mind, because that's the only way you can explain things. There's a totally different world out there, Dave. Open the box. Come on out. You'll see.
So in a sense, this series will pick up right where the zoology series leaves off, having covered the entire animal.
That's just what the kid says. That, oh, you open the box, Dave. It's like, that just made me think of like, step one, put your dick in a box. Make it open the box. My dick in a box. Oh, Sandra. Merry Christmas, Sandra.
Where's the harmonica? I wish I had one.
I know. I'm sorry. I messed up on that one. I said right when I pressed play in the video, I was like, oh shit.
I wish I had one for backup.
Backup, right? You just don't mention it the entire time, and then I just hear you play it. That would have been.
Oh, that would have been gold. That would have been gold.
Right. All right, let's go.
Small part of that kingdom. Biological anthropology includes several subjects. Paleoanthropology.
If you could pause it right there.
Search for and study of.
This is a part of the argument that's like really bizarre, that of this whole video.
Yeah.
It's okay, I'm not gonna lie right now. I definitely 100% thought that was you. It was actually C Science asking to pause the video, so I feel a little stupid now.
No, that's okay. Don't worry.
I did want to talk about how this is really weird criticism of here, that it's arbitrary to like categorize evolution in this way. Like, it's just weird. And also, like, Ket skips over this huge chunk of Professor Dave's video and accuses him of showing big words on the screen just to impress people, which is like, Ket, were you not trying to impress us a moment ago by seeing how many like different bones you could remember in a row?
Oh, absolutely. It's different when he does it, though. It's
right.
For me and not for thee.
Oh, okay.
Junior. It's different.
He forgot to mention, the dick bone.
Okay.
God, I
Go
missed
ahead,
that.
Mark.
This is Mark of C Science Film Labs, and I'm with you as long as the connection holds out. It's here.
Oh, by the way, C Science, nice background noise, dude.
Here he seems to be trying to shoehorn almost everything into anthropology, where it seems to be like anthropology is supposed to be the study of humankind, and he wants to infer all of the anthropological, paleoanthropological finds as well, which often gets put into anthropology. But it's like, when does it begin? Like, they have chimpanzees, and skeletons of chimpanzees here in paleoanthropology. Is that really the study of humans anymore? Like, it seems to be getting outside of the box of anthropology, or what it was originally intended to be.
Let's not study how the engine was made. Let's not study how the engine was made and how it got developed and prior models of that engine and see the differences between them and the similarities of them. No, we just need to study this one engine in isolation, because anything besides that isn't anthropology. Why? Because I said so.
Well, see, it's the engine for the car that I drive, so I'm interested in it. Other than that, anything that's not directly related to me is not important. But it's related because there's a common ancestor between humans and chimps, so that's how it's related to studying human evolution. I feel like that's a pretty simple answer to the question.
Or like the belief system that they've created surrounding humankind, rather than the science of humankind. But that's all I have to say about that.
Right. In their mind, chimpanzees, apes, everything's involved in the study of anthropology, which is baloney. He's going to name a bunch of big names here. Everybody I'm going to skip up a little bit. He's naming a bunch of branches of science. And just by putting the big name up there on screen, boy, that proves it's,
that
part of science.
wasn't him trying to explain how they fit within the study. That wasn't him trying to explain how they fit within the study. That wasn't him just trying to contextualize how they relate to one another within the study of the field. What an honest representation, Kent Hovind. It's almost like it's the representation of somebody that just skipped a whole bunch of the video and didn't actually watch a whole bunch of it. That's crazy.
Let's see, it goes across the world. Let's see, archaeology, cultural anthropology. He just names a bunch of words to impress people here. Let me get up past that here into the so-called cavemen. There we go. The big picture of anthropology. He says, we're human in our biology and evolution through our material culture. Let me just let him talk here.
From our biology and evolution through our material culture and cognition and up to our modern societies today. Anthropology is unique in that it marries the biological and the social, a union that will be explored in depth to create a cohesive understanding of the field. Stating where anthropology begins in the annals of time requires that we must first identify where humans begin.
I can do that. See, we're made in God's image in Genesis chapter 1. You guys can't do that. You got to think we slowly evolved through all these ape-like creatures. Okay, Mark, you've been studying each of these things that he offers as evidence for evolution here, Australopithecus and Homo habilis and all that. What's your thoughts on this? These creatures they got lined up here?
Well, it's become my opinion after several years of personal research and studying these different discoveries that they're not they're claimed to be.
Discovering the discoveries.
A lot of the times
wow.
they were discovered to not be what they had been claimed to be and are reclassified as something else.
A real wordsmith.
In the case of the Homo groups.
Oh, I was just saying the whole discover the discovery thing. It's just he's a real wordsmith. I'm just taken aback by how well he's explaining this.
Yeah, just let me know if you want me to pause the video first, because then it's just easier. But you know what I
sorry about that. No, that's not my bad. That's my bad.
What I just thought was kind of funny is hearing them say the word homo.
He said the word homo.
Pretty human.
Even these they feces on their penis during gay sex.
Anthropological sector, where really it's beyond humanity, and like again, it's humanity. But I'm really to see what Dave brings up, is which paleoanthropological discovery he brings up first, because I'd really like to hit that with you, because I've definitely studied these, and I'd like to see if he brings up Lucy or the MH1s. Or there's really only 7 skeletons of the Australopithecine that to mention, you know, of the entire species, and then you have beyond that it goes to Homo and then to human. So like the Homo group, these are all claimed to be cavemen, Neanderthal. What was the one we mentioned just a second ago? The Homo ergaster, the Homo. Homo, yeah. So there's a lot of them, but the thing is they're all.
I just have to say it on such a serious note. Like, I want to know like which like scientist or like group of scientists thought that it was okay to come out with the name Homo erectus, because to me when I hear Homo erectus, I hear gay boner, and
yeah,
I don't have the level of maturity to not find that funny. I don't care what age I am.
Well, I mean, you're engaging with a man that's got a SpongeBob doll in the background that he whacks on a regular basis. So I don't think you need to worry too much about maturity when it comes to this. He's not exactly a titan of it himself.
Well, does he have a SpongeBob body pillow? That's my question.
Oh, he definitely does. You know he does.
Can it stand up on its own without,
Well, it's got the boots, right? The boots are additional. They're actually limited edition for the beginning of the SpongeBob body pillow lineup. Don't ask me how I know this, by the way.
Those 2 salt shakers, if you put them together, would kind of look like yellow boobs.
Maybe that's why he has them separate. Do you think someone commented on that at some point?
Right.
He's like,
let's put some random Campbell's mushroom soup in the middle instead. Like, what's that doing there?
Human bones, and they're using the vast spectrum of human variation, like even the larger boned humans, and then trying to classify these spines as something beyond humanity. So when you have something that looks like a human and you're going to classify it as something else, and the group that you're drawing from as far as for your information is such a select group of individuals that it kind of like leaves out people with giantism or gigantism, you know.
Right.
And there's a lot of humans today that are robust. So, and that's really the underlying feature that we see a lot in these.
Well, then, what about Homo robustus then? Why don't you talk about them? Were they not robust? Oh,
Why don't they talk about Homer Simpson? I don't know why they don't talk about that guy either, because he's obviously a transitional fossil, given that. See, I can make stupid tangential jokes that don't have anything to do with this and aren't funny at all, too, Kent.
okay. I misspoke there. Paranthropus robustus is a real fossil. Okay, and it is a robust version of an Australopithecine. So, like, we're talking about that jacked Lucy. You know what I mean? Like, if Lucy started lifting weights, and so there are Australopithecines, which I find we're going to get into this in a second. But I love how Kent will talk about, they put human feet on this Lucy exhibit, or they found human footprints, and it's like, no, Kent, those are Australopithecine feet. And the footprints of Australopithecine, it's just they look so similar to human footprints. You think that they're misrepresenting it by putting human feet on Lucy, but they're not. And to me, that's just such a great, that's just beautiful.
Well, I mean, like, he's saying it even in the side chat here. There's, he said something about it just mainly being teeth and pieces of hands and feet. Well, a great example of how we can correlate those feet bones that you're talking about is over at Laetoli, because Laetoli is a prehistoric site located in Tanzania and dated to the Paleopleistocene period, about 3.7 million years ago. And that has one of the best preserved examples of Australopithecine feet, or footprints rather, that we can find in the world. And they're about 3.7 million years old, like I said, compared to Lucy, which is only about 3.2 million years old. And they seem to suggest, given the dating both of those and nearby Australopithecine fossils, or not fossils, remains rather in this instance, that these were an example of the, sorry, I'm trying to think of the term. It's not walking on four legs, it's walking on two. I can't think of it for some
Bipedal?
reason. Bipedalism, thank you. Bipedalism was something which developed in these these other species before an enlarged brain case, like we would expect them to, because we have found remains that are correlated to be Australopithecus. Is it Africanus, or no? It's a different. It starts with an A. Afarensis. That's what it is. Australopithecus afarensis.
Right.
So when we're talking about how much evidence that we have for these things, it's more than just a couple of teeth. And even if you do just want to talk about the teeth by themselves, I mean, we observe with our palate, for example, that from a lower facing perspective, we see that the palate is a really parabolic shape, which makes sense given that our diets were based primarily off of foods that a human could acquire via bipedal locomotion. You know, like hunted meat from fast grassland animals that a chimp, for example, couldn't have the stamina to run down on a prolonged length of time due to a lack of sweat glands like we have. So a chimp's palate, when viewed from the same perspective, will reveal a really square shape with really sharp angles characterizing the jaw rather than a rounded one. And an Australopithecus skull, like Lucy, displays a shape which is basically between those two in nature, where it's got some sharp anglage to it, way more than we would see in a human skull, but way less than we would see in a chimp skull. So that is a good example of a skull which is transitional in nature. That's not to say we evolved directly from a chimp, or that Australopithecus did. It evolved from a Miocene ape, but it still does demonstrate, like I was saying, a commonality between those two that makes it almost indisputably not a human, as a Homo sapiens sapien goes. It is indeed a different species, but one that is a closer ancestry to us than any other hominid species currently alive. Sorry, that rant over.
Well, I'm just let's say if I grant that the only fossil specimens for Lucy species are I believe teeth and what do you say teeth and
Feet,
hand and feet bones. What is the implication that there's not that we can't learn tons of things from those bone pieces from those areas? And I would also like to say that when you have an animal that has a skeleton that is, I forget the exact word, but mirrored, you can effectively you can double that fossil in the count, because if you have a left rib, you don't really need to find the opposite rib for it to be considered a complete skeleton, because that rib, that bone is going to be mirrored on the other side. But we are lucky to have that number of 400 pieces because of how rare fossilization is, and because all animals on Earth did not live at the same time. That didn't happen. They didn't all die in a global flood at the same time. That's why we don't have as many fossil pieces as we do. Like I kind of love that argument. I love younger creationist arguments that actually work against them, and I feel like this is one, because they're going to mock like the only fossils they have for human evolution could fit on a pool table. You could fit on the back of my toilet seat. And it's like, well, don't you think that we would have more of like every animal on Earth die at the same time?
Yeah, you really would think that if fossilization was a process, which I've heard him admit does take place under certain circumstances, that therefore you would see all of them all at once. Not only that, but one of the arguments I used against him when I was in a debate with him a couple of years ago was if all of this happened all at once and all of these layers are supposed to be deposited rapidly, then you'd expect really heavy set creatures like whales and like dolphins and like elephants and everything like that. You would expect those to sink to the bottom because they're the heaviest, and we don't find them at the bottom. We find very, very simple creatures in the bottom that would not weigh anywhere near that amount. So it's yet another example of an argument that, sure, on a surface level it really sounds good, but when you actually dig into it more than that surface level, you'll find that it does in fact kind of work just against what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to be. I'm gonna after this. I think I'm gonna let the video play for a little while.
No, don't worry about it. I'm sorry.
No, it's not you. It's just that this comment is. I struggle to not, when I read comments like this, I struggle to not say of like, are you stupid? Like this is a stupid comment. Not that you're stupid, but this comment is stupid because are you stupid because that's not like the main reason that it's based on, because there have been tons of foot bones found for the Australopithecine species. Like that, I mean, I'm sure like creationists can deny that. They can deny that they don't have foot bones for Lucy, or Lucy specifically. They don't have her specific foot bones, as if that matters. But there have been lots of foot bones found, and certainly enough to complete a full foot of an Australopithecine, which again you can mirror because they're going to be basically the same on the other side. And yes, you can absolutely tell if an animal walked to be bipedal from that foot fossil. But there are also elements of a skull that can tell you things like this from the way it's positioned on the spine, and because of the weight of the head. And
it has a fixed.
There are lots of things.
It has a fixed nodule at the base of the skull that we find with Lucy that was set around the midsection, closer to where we would find the base for the spinal cord to go in for a human skull, rather than in apes, which are near the back of their skull, rather than closer to the center, because you would expect for a quadrupedal creature for that connection to be made more towards the back of the skull, where you can more easily support that from 4 limbs rather than 2. But we don't observe that with Lucy's skull. We see that it's more close. It's not perfectly aligned with ours, but it is indeed closer to the middle than any other example of a hominid that we find today. So please, like, my challenge to you, because you've been throwing out challenges left and right here, are find a chimp species or any other hominid species who have anatomy that is analogous to that. Like the spinal cord for Lucy is another great example of that. We have a really prominent and different shape than other hominid spines. We have an S shortest shaped spine because of our lumbar region. Right. And every other contemporary ape species that we find have more of a C shape, which you'd expect to find in a species who are focused on quadruped locomotion. And Australopithecus don't have that C shape. They have an S shape with a distinguishable lumbar region called lumbar lordosis. So this is indeed an example of a creature that had the spine to be able to walk upright, and it actually has the same number of vertebrae as a human spinal cord. The problem is that it's not exactly the same as a human skull. That lumbar region exists, but it's not as exaggerated as it is with humans. And what that tells a anthropologist or an archaeologist or a biologist when they dig that up is that this is likely a creature that, while it was capable of bipedal locomotion, could in certain circumstances also use quadrupedal motion in a way that we just could not use. And once again, that's not indicative of a specially created species. That's indicative of a transitional species.
Yeah, I feel like when you go too long, I'm just gonna start playing you off like they do at the Oscars. Just like,
I'm sorry, man.
No, it's okay. I'm just kidding. But like, okay, so
let's play it for a while.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna say something really quickly, and then I'm gonna play it for a while because I'm gonna go use the restroom. But I see that creationists, all they ever do is they want to criticize what paleontologists and real scientists have found and poke holes in it and just, try and undermine it. And I would like to see, why don't you guys go, if you all know the truth, then go out and find what we have been able to find and show us what is actually out there, instead of just sniping and just criticize people who have accomplished more in this field and trying to poke holes in what they do on like a YouTube comment section. Go out and find a better fossil. Go out and find, the fossil. Go out and find Adam and Eve's fossil. All right. Now, I'm going to put it back on to Kent. Unfortunately, I apologize.
In these homo groups is that they're more robust, and they're using that claim about the bones to claim that there's something other than human, when in reality they fit into the human spectrum. So.
Okay, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you, Mark, for more on this? If their kids are being taught all this stuff, the cavemen kind of stuff, how do they get a hold of you for answers?
Well, just come to your channel and see me in the chat on YouTube. I'm usually there. If you have any questions, you can ask me there about any night. So,
well, the Bible says clearly that we were made in God's image, Genesis chapter 1. But these scoffers in the last days want the lie that we started off like a chimpanzee or some kind of ape-like creature, so that we're not in God's image. For example, is this Grandpa? Can an ape-like creature slowly turn to a human? Well, maybe so. So maybe it is possible for an ape-like creature to turn to a human. Okay, here's what they teach the kids in school. Nothing exploded. Earth was a hot ball of rock billions of years later. The primates slowly evolved out of this rock it started off with, just memorize the word farm, fish, amphibian, reptile, mammal. We slowly became a fish and then an amphibian, reptile, mammal, and then modern man evolved. There we have the billions of years ago, the Big Bang. And then here we have Earth formed and primates came along and then modern man. The Bible says man brought death into the world. By man came death. By one man, sin entered into the world, and death by sin. If evolution is true, death brought man into the world. Totally different. God made a perfect world, man wrecked it. According to evolution, man's going to fix the problem. We are slowly evolving, getting bigger, better, stronger, smarter. And they got these things from Dave here. Humans begin far more difficult task than it might seem. So they've got these charts saying that the humans evolved from let's see, what do they got here? A protozoa. Some of them have an amoeba, some have a bacteria. So they slowly became a fish, amphibian, reptile, mammal, and here we are, humans. You can make your own missing link, by the way. All you need is duct tape, some super glue, and a cutting tool. You can make your own missing link. Use your imagination. All of them are, I'm going to cover a couple of them here, Mark, and you chime in whenever you'd like, but are apes monkeys? Apes' bodies are quite different from those of other primates. Gibbons, simians, okay? 13 of these and 6 other great apes. There is no single unique feature that defines an ape, rather a suit of distinguishing characteristics. Apes' bodies are quite different from other primates. So here we have, let's see, many taxonomies exist for gibbons. Generally accepted, there are 16 species in 4 groups of gibbons, okay? How about the bonobos? There's only 1 species of bonobo called the bonobo, or pan, okay? Chimpanzees, 1 species of chimpanzee, 2 species of gorillas. Orangutans, 2 species of orangutans. Can orangutans and gorillas interbreed? No, they can't. Neither can humans and gorillas or humans and orangutan. See, we're a different kind. We're made in God's image. God said they'd bring forth after their kind. That's all any animal has ever done in the history of the world. No farmer on the planet can tell you.
I have to wonder, like, are you ever going to be able to pronounce the word orangutan correctly, ever?
Well,
come on.
his point basically boils down
you have to learn to pronounce the word orangutan correctly. You can't. Come on.
Seriously.
Oh.
Seriously.
His point, and I have to laugh because Gutsy Gibbon, a long time ago, she told me, I think it was when we had talked in person. She told me, if you're ever watching a video where people are talking about, evolution, or they're talking about apes, and you hear them use the word orangutan, that's a red flag. That means they don't know what they're talking about. So it's proven true. I will definitely say that.
He saw his cows or horses or goats or pigs or chickens or anything produce something other than their kind. Cows make baby cows, dogs make baby dogs. There are no exceptions. But they draw these lines on paper, started off from a single-celled ancestor, became a sponge, and then all these up to humans. Here we are. This is propaganda. This isn't science. They make these charts, and the kids have to study this stuff. And wow, it's in the textbook. Look at that beautiful chart.
You know what? I've
Must
got
be
a
true.
question.
We got to be related to Lucy. There it is. We have a common ancestor.
How many actual comprehensive scientific charts do you think Kent had to pass up in trying to find these ones that he has actually posted? Because I guarantee you that there were resources, even just in image formats, that were more comprehensive, that were better at explaining the ideas that were presented there and that he's explaining. But he's purposefully going out of his way to represent it in the most simplified way possible. And it's like if I went to him and I had a children's version of the story of David and Goliath, and I was like, see, look at this. That's the story of David and Goliath, right? It's just like the Bible. He'd probably go, well, no, it's not. There's actually a lot more involved with it. If you look at the Bible, there's a lot more detail. So it's just, it's a blatant, it's a blatant example of him applying one standard to one thing and another to his actual religion.
Yeah, and also, like, what are these skulls on the skull display? None of them seem to be labeled. Some of them appear to be human. I'm just wondering, are these real? Is this like a Jeffrey Dahmer thing? Oh boy, that reminds me. I have a new YouTube short to upload regarding Jeffrey Dahmer and Ken Hovind that I'm pretty excited about. That Big Bad Mama helped me make, and oh boy, I just can't wait for that. I'm gonna have that go live after the stream ends. And shout out to Big Bad Mama, because I pray that Kent Hovind sees this new short. Anyway, let's continue.
Display here at Dinosaur Adventureland, if you want to come down and see the stuff. When you find the skull of an animal, you don't know that it is turning into something else. They think they're wise, but they're fools, the Bible says. And we could talk for an hour on that. The fools. I want to get to some of the so-called cavemen here. Let's see, right here. These are the cavemen they use. This whole chart is complete baloney. That we started off like a little bitty chimpanzee, getting bigger, better, stronger. This article said he's the daddy of us all. This is silly. You don't know he's the daddy of anybody. When you find bones in the dirt, all you really know is it died.
That's just not true at all. There's so many things you can learn about an animal from their fossils. Even Kent has admitted this, that you can see from a fossil of a dead animal if they walked upright or not. He's admitted this. You also know that they lived. You also know that they were part of a population, because there's no animals that are living today by themselves, or who were ever living by themselves, unless they're simply, the last animal of before they went extinct. But it's not a normal circumstance. So, and I also, in the last open mic debate I did against Kent, I was telling him about how his slides haven't been updated in 30 years, because he's always talking about how, oh well, if it's true, I'm not going to change it. And I said, yeah, Kent, but I can understand that. I'll grant you that. If you think it's true, then fine. But don't you think that you should still upgrade, like, some of the presentation, like you have jokes about Bill Clinton? Like, don't you think it's a little bit outdated? I mean, he's got slides here that are going to show the most wanted caveman being Osama bin Laden. It's like, Kent, he's not most wanted anymore. They got him. We got him. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, fun fact: they actually killed Osama bin Laden on my birthday. So,
wow. Well, that must have been an interesting turn of events. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, I guess that's an example of how evolution isn't true, because I haven't evolved my arguments in 30 years. They haven't changed at all. They're just exactly the same.
They're just as fucking bad as they were the day I made them.
Oh goodness.
But they run these articles, Smithsonian, the mother of all mammals. Oh, this little animal like a shrew. I see. Look, it's just logic 101. If you find a fossil in the dirt, all you really could prove is it died. You can't prove it had any kids, and you sure can't prove it had kids that lived. And you can't prove it had kids that lived that reproduced, or kids that lived and reproduced anything different than their kind. No animal today can do this. Why do we give bones in the dirt the ability to do something that no animal on the planet today can do? Produce offspring other than their kind. It just doesn't happen. Every farmer in the world will tell you cows produce cows, corn produces corn. No exceptions. None. Zip, zero, nada. Doesn't happen. Many people today live in caves. Lot and his daughter lived in a cave in the Bible. Lot had 5 kings found in a cave. Many people today live in caves. There was the world's most wanted caveman till they found him.
Yeah.
What did Lot do with his daughters in that cave, Kent?
Oh, well, you see, well, Lot's daughters, they tricked him. They were actually the ones who raped him. They were the sexual abusers in that story, because as we know, the Bible was written by adult men, and obviously, adult men would never reframe a story like that to put the blame on the young girls. That obviously, when something like that happens, it's obvious who was the real, who had the power in that situation. And it was clearly the young daughters.
My favorite part about that story is that there's like an auspices that they were doing it so that humanity could be repopulated.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
They walk off the mountain and there's just like a town there for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Where did they come from? Did they just spawn in?
Yeah, and you could just imagine them. They have this slow look at each other. And it's like,
bravo, Atheist Junior, bravo.
There's a former caveman right there. They found him, got him out. IDF is sending a lot of cavemen up to meet their god, aren't they?
Weird,
living in these caves.
Weird. Like, why would you? Weird thing. Like, he updated his slides to add that. But he doesn't change the thing that says Osama bin Laden is still wanted.
Well, that's the same print on the right over there as my Osama bin Laden body pillow. You'll be able to get that on the DAL website pretty soon here. Don't worry. We're trying to update our stock to be as contemporary as possible to make sure we reach out to those kids.
Yeah, we're accepting shekels too as payment. Yeah, it's just Kid has this weird thing about ever since the Israeli-Palestine thing, happened, he's like, let me make myself look at as much as an insensitive dick as possible of the situation. Like, what's the worst possible take somebody can have about this? That's what Ken Hovind will always have. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, this is very true. It's not surprising at all which side Kent would take here. And of course, he's going to, just absolutely misrepresent the arguments. But that is a whole other can of pineapple juice.
Yeah, let's not touch that, because then that's just going to prolong the stream by another hour.
Yeah, so let's keep going. Is yeah, I feel like my vocal cords are about to give out, so I don't.
Fuck Israel.
Tunnels they built. So
Kent's cup says super dad.
My favorite part about the Super Dad Cup is that it wasn't bought by his son. It was bought by some random donor's money.
when you talk about a caveman, there's people today living in caves. In Granada, there's a whole system of people living underground. It's hot down there, so they dig a hole in the ground and live there. It's much cooler. Oh. China has 40 million people living underground.
It's getting hot in here, so take off your turban. But caveman is not a scientific term. Paleontologists don't use it. This is such a relevant waste of time argument. Who cares about cavemen, Kent? You have the emotional intelligence of a caveman, Kent.
It's another red herring that he can throw up and try to conflate with everything else that he tries to hand wave past you fast enough that you don't actually really think about it to any significant degree. It's just his gish gallop. That's all it really is.
Well, if you want to talk about a gish gallop, how about C Science in the side chat just spamming his shitty comments? Just stop. Please just stop. Like, I don't care. I'm not.
He can't help himself. He really can't. I promise you.
I mean, considering the fact he's typing with one hand, that's pretty impressive. So,
in caves, 40 million. Are they cavemen? National Pornographic. Someone's trying to make a monkey out of you. Yeah, they are. Humans should talk like chimps. BBC. Brilliant idea. You Brits come up with great ideas. Let's see.
Okay, so I think that this is going to be the last section that we talk about, because I have some stuff I really want to say about this part, because it kind of made me a little bit mad. So if that sounds okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. It's your show. Do whatever you want, man.
Okay. Well, yeah, because my throat is a little bit, this cold weather is not good for me. So we're just gonna play a little bit more.
I know your throat is worn out. Don't you worry. I know.
That's a reference to me, homosexual.
Scientists at the Zoological Society in London are looking for volunteers to talk.
Volunteers.
In their everyday work and home life to test out the theory. Yeah, go to work and talk to the boss. Instead of saying, "Good morning, boss," say, "Ooh." That'll go over really good, won't it? Talk chimp to your boss.
I'd just like to add
one part of the survey.
about something about apes there. Yeah. The whole narrative was that we used to be that we came from apes or evolved from apes, and now it seems that through some kind of semantic game they're playing, it's become that humans are apes. And so there was a story of evolution. Now it's just we are apes anyway, because they've changed the definition of ape so much.
Scientific advancement is a semantic game. Yeah, that's a real honest way of looking at it, because science, being not a dogmatic thing that never changes, is just a semantical game when it changes.
Oh, words should never change their meanings. The definitions or meaning of words, they never change. It's like how Kent, his shirt is extremely gay. It's the gayest shirt I've ever seen, and it's like, or it's like you don't even have words don't have different meanings in different areas. It's like, oh, well, look at that faggot over there, or I'm going to go smoke a fag. Oh, I just got I got a couple of faggots in my backyard. I just got them yesterday. I guess words can't change meanings, though.
No, of course not. Unless he's making a cheeky reference and wants to get away with it, then words can change their meaning.
Yeah, and also the idea of just they changed the meaning. No, it's just they're just categorization of things becoming more accurate. That's all, dummy.
And primate.
Right. What they're trying to do, though, is if we are simply animals, I've asked atheists many times in debates I do, if evolution is true and we are simply an animal, how do you tell right from wrong? On any topic, how do you tell right from wrong? Is it wrong to steal? Is it wrong to lie? Is it wrong to kill somebody? If you think those things are wrong, tell me why. Huh? Do the monkeys steal from other monkeys? Do the monkeys steal from each other and steal from everything around them? Sure they do. Will they kill? Yeah. Is it wrong? How come it'd be wrong for human to do it and not wrong for them to do it? If it's wrong for a human to go next door and kill and eat the neighbor's baby, but it's okay for the lion to do it, why do they say we're just animals?
But we're the ones playing semantical games.
So this is such an interesting question not an interesting question, but the answer is interesting because it's very funny how Kent thinks that chimps stealing food is just exactly the same as it is if a human does it, because if a human does it, likely because they're, they're hungry and maybe can't afford it. Or if you've ever, just seen somebody's donut that just looked really good and like, well, I want that donut because it looks delicious. I'd like to eat it. But I'm going to read a little bit of this article. It's on projectchimps.org. It says, stealing food is a strategic business in the chimp world. While it may sound like a simple interaction, there are actually many reasons why chimps steal, and notice not just because they're hungry. So the main reasons chimps steal food from one another is to help their individual status. Within each villa, there are different rankings among the chimps. In most cases, adult males hold a higher ranking, meaning they are the leader of the troop and therefore have more privileges. So, chimps do steal from each other, but they also share with each other. And male and females males tend to be the food stealers. When a male wants to steal food, they will usually intimidate another chimp by bluffing around the food and then taking it for themselves. So basically, like what they have here is actually is a system where often the lower ranking chimps will allow their food to be stolen by higher ranking chimps, and this helps their status within the troop and shows the higher ranking chimp respect. So it's actually like
that's taxes, and we know how much Kent Hovind hates taxes. Come on now.
Yeah, so to me, it's just that I just think that it's so interesting that like there's so much more nuance here than what Kent thinks, and it's like this to me absolutely shows that humans and chimps have more similarities in their behavior than Kent wants to let on here, and I just think that that's to me it's just funny for him thinking that, do they steal food from each other? Yeah, there you go, grand theft banana.
Well, not only that though, but like we observe with rats that if you entrap one rat and you give the other rat an opportunity to free it, even if you don't give that rat a reward, they will still try to free that other rat and will most times preserve at least a little bit of their food that was given to them for that other rat to eat, even though that does not give them any sort of objective advantage. And you know why you see that? It's because rats are extremely social creatures and rely upon one another in order to survive. So when you say, Kent, that, is it wrong if something steals from somebody else? Well, I don't know, Kent. Is it wrong that an orca decides to torture a seal for 3 hours straight by tossing it into the air over and over again and not eating it at all? It's not necessarily wrong. It's just an example of an animal exhibiting a behavior that we arbitrarily categorize as wrong.
Right. And I thought it was silly for Kent to ask, well, is it wrong to lie? Is it wrong to steal? Is it wrong to kill? And it's like, Kent, you obviously know that the context matters for each one of those things. That, if you're in a situation where, you're, I don't know, a psychopath is like going to kill you if you answer the wrong thing, then yes, you could lie to get out of a dangerous situation. And it's not even really lying. You're just, it's, or little white lies. There's different levels of lies. And it also matters who you're talking to. And there's a whole other thing, which is like, I have a huge problem with Ray Comfort's whole argument there of when he talks about, have you ever lied? Oh, what does that make you a liar? Or he says, have you ever lied in your life? And people say yes. And they say, what does that make you? And my counter argument to this that I got to use on a Christian during a live stream one time, which is one of my most cherished moments on YouTube, was I asked them, so when you were younger, did you ever wet your bed? And I said, I'll admit that I did. Just to make this not awkward. He said, yeah, I did. So what does that make you? A bedwetter. But he's like, if I'm not, that doesn't make me a bedwetter for my entire life. Well, yeah, there you go. You can't label somebody that way for their entire life. And I'm just a little bit proud of that argument. I just wanted to
No,
say.
that's a beautiful way to illustrate a point that really doesn't give that person who so confidently raised that point to you any room to say anything. But yeah, I guess you're right in that particular example. Those are always the best.
Yeah,
they really
I
well and
just
truly are.
I just thought that was fun. And of course, for killing, yeah, obviously you have self-defense versus outright murder, and then with stealing, you have, the whole moral argument about a hungry person stealing food for them, and maybe their small children who are also hungry, and that's the whole thing. Versus just simple theft of a guy like just knocking an old lady over, just taking her purse, and then stepping on her face on the way out.
Well,
I
mean, like Ken Hovind's version of morality in this context, in this one and only time that he brings this up, is it's absolute. It's wrong to steal. It's wrong to lie. So it's absolutely wrong to lie. Therefore, in Inglourious Bastards, when Hans Landa goes to the house and he interrogates that guy, he should have immediately went, "Oh, there's Jews under the floorboards, Hans Landa. Hey, they're just right there. You can lift up the floorboards right there and just bring them on out of here." He should have done that, right, Kent? Because bearing false witness is just absolutely wrong. Or maybe it's subjective. Maybe it's subject to circumstance, and even you recognize that on some level.
Yeah, I mean, why bother having the tension in that scene be stretched out like a rubber band until it's about to snap, when we could just just immediately deflate it? It would have been much better that way. You know what I mean? Because more guns and more blood and dead bodies equals better movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going.
This guy says in the survey, he recommends you wave your arms, brandishing objects, and make yourself appear large to assert authority over others. Yeah, go into the boss at work tomorrow morning, puff out your chest, wave a stick around, see how long your job lasts. You Brits are insane to think that's a thing, brother.
Wow, what was the
volunteers can also bond.
That was really coherent, Ken. Those Brits are
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to rewind that a couple times when I watched this the first time.
See how long your job lasts. You Brits are insane to think that's a thing, brother.
You Brits are insane to think taste testing is a thing. That's what I had got from it, which is like, I mean, no, I think it's what you talked about, the Pepsi challenge. I mean, like, I think it's
just because Brits have horrible food, Kent, doesn't mean that you need to say they don't have taste testing. That's horribly xenophobic. Okay, just because the only good invention they've had is fish and chips, that's a low blow, man.
Well, I will say, I am somebody who enjoys cooking, and I am just a firm believer of that if you're going to cook something, then you should be trying it all throughout while the process of cooking, checking it, making sure does it need more seasoning? Should I have more salt in there? Maybe more water to, like, if you're making pasta or something, and just constantly checking it versus, just you do everything and make it and then just realize at the end, oh, this tastes like shit. Because I'm a fan of Gordon Ramsay and his shows. And I've seen, I don't know how many times I've seen, I don't know, Kitchen Nightmares, or I forget the names of some of his shows where, like, I see this where I'm like, I don't know how they could serve this to him and think that it was okay. I'm like, did you not taste your own food at any point? Like, you know what I mean? And he's like, you fucking donkey.
Ken Hovind is kind of like if Gordon Ramsay was there on Kitchen Nightmares to sabotage the kitchen and make it worse rather than better. Like, he's just sitting there like, all right, you're not getting to the customers fast enough, are you? We'll make sure that you wait another 20 minutes before you go out there first, all right? And it's like, yeah, okay, that's really good advice. And then he still yells at them when they fail at the end. Like, he's still like, you fucking donkey! I can't believe that you went and did that! Like, that's if Ken Hovind was in Gordon's place.
So,
there.
yeah, I want every Hannet in here. We're banning Hannets, and we're going to burn them and then throw the burned Hannets into the food.
I just don't know why so many people are leaving DAL. It's like if Gordon was like, I'm sabotaging these kitchens. I don't know why so many of them are shutting down. I can't explain it. It's just there's no reason for it.
I actually watched an episode of Kitchen Nightmares where it was this American guy, and the problem was that basically that the kitchen was really good, the employees were good, but the problem was that the guy who owned the restaurant insisted on being in the kitchen, the quote unquote helping out, when really he was really just getting in everyone's way. He was causing problems. He was doing and saying inappropriate stuff. His experience was in the business side, and he also, like, he owned a cattle ranch, and his ranch provided the meat to the restaurant, which was, actually one of his better ideas, but like, he didn't know anything about when it came to like proper, like, hygiene, working in the kitchen, all that. And then, he's not wearing a hairnet. And then you see a scene where this lady is eating her food, and then you see, like, you hear somebody scream, and he goes over to her, and this lady is talking about how there was a hair in her food, which that she actually swallowed, and the hair went halfway down her throat. And I was like, oh my God. Oh God. And like, and then he tells the guy, he's like, you need to stay out of the kitchen, you fucking donkey. If you go back in the fucking kitchen, I swear to God, I will fire you out of a cannon to the goddamn sun. All right. So really quickly, I just want to say this, what it says here. It says volunteers can bond with their group. Okay, so these are volunteers that are doing this for this experiment, and the interactions that they're talking about here, about making noises or puffing out your chest, these are done only to the other group members. They're not telling you go up to your boss and say, don't, and make funny noises. So Kent's exact misrepresentation here is they designed this sort of experiment in an exact way to prevent what he's describing here. So Kent is gone out of his way to not read the thing that he's literally looking at right now. You know what I mean? It's just read it, Kent. But instead, he's gonna misrepresent it in the worst way he can to make it look stupid. And this is just such a microcosm of this is exactly how he argues against something he doesn't agree with. He always has to completely misrepresent it in order to make it seem stupid. He can't just disagree with it on the merits of it. He has to mock it and make it look stupid. And he knows he can't, because it's like a something that's not stupid, or it's just a rock solid argument or innocuous. He has to lie about it and make shit up. And that's why this part just annoyed me so much. So
Well, for sure. I see why. Don't worry.
Let's see. Volunteers can also bond with their group by grooming each other. Yeah. Walk up behind somebody and start picking through their hair to pick the bugs out. Mm-hmm. Don't the monkeys do that? Yeah. Of course, they eat the bug when they get them out. Right. A simple hello when greeting friends should be replaced with an extended and throaty, hey, what's up? What's up? There are thousands of differences between humans.
I'm sorry. What am I the only one who felt like an N-word was coming there?
Well, with him, you never know. And that's one of the things that makes him simultaneously terrifying and incredibly entertaining in a macabre way. Is that he's like grandpa with dementia on Thanksgiving. You never know what he's gonna throw at you next.
That's true. Well, yeah, so that part just kind of irritated me because I was watching that video yesterday, and I got to this part, and at first when I had seen this, I did think it sounded kind of silly, but then I actually read the text of what it was saying, and it's like, it's not telling you to go up to people who are going to have no understanding or concept of why you would be doing this, and to do it, because obviously that would be stupid. You know what I mean? So like the people who did this experiment, I have no idea if there's any real merit or any real point to what they're describing here, but it does sound kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie, but they seem to be like they're kind of taking this a little bit seriously, because they designed it in a way where you would not be doing that thing. Here's what kind of possible data could you get off of a reaction like that? The idea is that you're doing it to people who are like, it's almost like a role play thing. You know what I mean? So that's the only way you could have any type of, useful information off of this. But of course, Ken has to make it look stupid. Oh, stupid. You're stupid. Evolution theory. Well,
I mean, it's just it's a hint at the actual insecurity that underlies not only his argument, but the arguments of most people that are not 100% convinced into this person's ideology and how they view the world. So it's very silly to me, this notion in his mind that he needs to go at evolution and the theory of evolution from a completely misrepresented point of view that obfuscates rather than highlights the actual points that evolution has to make. Because I'm somebody that has taken the time to read the Bible and understand scripture to a decent degree in order to have conversations with Christians and creationists like him. So to me, it comes across as just incredibly disrespectful when I've taken the time to try and understand your point of view and why you hold the point of view that you do. And for somebody like Kent, it's not even a matter of him not taking the time to. It's a matter of him just purposefully obfuscating that and doing what I think Hitchens termed this. It was willful obscurantism. And I think that is a perfectly good illustration of what Kent is doing there. He knows what he's doing is obscuring and obfuscating the point rather than highlighting the actual points that are made. But he chooses to do that because he's found that's the best way to propagate his narrative. And that's just not a tool that you find in an intellectually honest person's toolbox.
right. That seems very, very true. So, Ayden, this has been so much fun. I've really enjoyed having you on here. So thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. Seriously, this has been a fantastic time. I really had a ton of fun with you. This has been one of my favorite streams I've ever done on YouTube. Honestly, this was just there's never a dull moment. Let's put it that way.
So, I only apologize that I wasn't a little bit feeling a little bit under the weather. And I had a better voice, but these things happen, and I fight through them. That's why, I'm like Michael Jordan in the flu game. You power through it.
Yeah, the final in the NBA. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I mean, I just, when you know that you're a professional and you have a level of dedication that is just can't be beat, and you understand not only that, but how important your comedy and just the things that you say and the jokes you make about about penises, how important that is to people. You have a duty and a responsibility that
It's a social
you just
service.
take that really seriously, and making it's really important to come in here, and I think to make dumb voices and to say things about bones, and you say, oh, but instead you use bones, you use the word boners, and it's like, wow, that's just so thoughtful and like
It's
funny.
so profound.
And and it's like, and then the harmonica thing, it's like, wow, so I just want to thank you, because if there's I actually, if I can be serious, I actually think that there's a serious element, there's some serious merit to the idea of coding good scientific information in with humor. I think that makes it stick. And that helps people learn better, and it also helps people keep people engaged. And I just think that, I know that it might seem like I'm doing these silly things just for no reason, but there's a method to the madness, and I think, Ayden, you understand that, and I just I wonder why you don't have a channel yet, and so maybe that'd be one day. But you're always welcome to come back on here, and or come. I'm sure I'll be on Claude's stream with you again. So I look forward to that. And
I mean, hey, if you never invite me back on, I was just gonna say, if you ever want to invite me back on, I'd be happy to come on. I mean, like, with having as good a time as this was, I'd absolutely love to come on some other time. But yeah, if you come on Claude's streams, that would be great. I always love when you pop in with Claude. And Gangster Ghost is somebody that I want to shout out really quick.
Oh, sure thing, yeah.
Gangster Ghost he's got a channel up on YouTube. I don't know if you would be able to maybe link him in the description or something like that, but he's got a really good channel. It's a really good open-ended community where people are able to come in and have discussions about all manner of different things. And he's a really good friend of mine. He's been my friend for going on 2 or 3 years at this point. So I don't have my own YouTube channel at the moment. I'm not really focused on that at this particular moment in my life, but I like to pop into his shows and Claude's shows. So yeah, shout out to Claude, and especially shout out to Gangster Ghost and his channel. With that being said, thank you very much for having me on here, and now you can, as Sean Hannity say, play us out. think we're still live, Mr. Atheist Jr. Hello, hello.